let me draw the attention of us as Parliament back, so that at least we are in the same wavelength with the petitioners. Honorable Chair, the Mines and Minerals Act stipulates a certain size of hectareage, whereupon a miner does not seek consultation of the farmer. I'm sure it's less than 100 hectares or so. And beyond that, you have to notify the farmer through post and everything. So I think we need to take note of that, because if we do not take note of that, especially now that we are trying to amend the Mines and Minerals Act, we will continue to have these conflicts. I thought that could be taken on board. But what I'm not picking out clear, and what Honorable Joe has not yet been answered, is that in the presence of the current laws which we have, which are supposed to protect the miner and protect the farmer, there lacks an implementation matrix. So the prayer, I think, from the petition is not coming up with the issue of implementation to the extent of protecting both the miner and both the farmer. Because in other instances, we are having the farmer encroaching into a miner. In other instances, we are having the miner encroaching into a farm. So I think Honorable Joe's sentiments needs to be clarified, and I hope the petitioner can bring this up, because it's not coming out at the moment. And may the legal officer of the Lands Ministry please enlighten us on the issue which I have raised before, on the issue of consultation in terms of hectareage between the miner and the farm.
Thank you, Honorable Chiquinya. If I heard the petitioner correctly, I think they are aware of the policies, but they are purporting that there's a discord, the policies are discordant. And as a result of the gaps in the policies, it's allowing disruption of activities, and them standing for women. They are saying a lot of women are actually victims. Their activities are being disrupted because of Go ahead, Honorable Member.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Are they not supposed to answer our questions first, then we deliberate later with your views?
No, they are supposed. Thank you very much. They are supposed to answer. What I'm saying is, I'm saying this in the interest of time, so that we move on from this point, because they talked about the need for harmonization of laws. So they feel the disruption is due to the discordance of the policies. The one of mines may be giving preference to the miners, and the one on land maybe not so much protecting the women. So I thought maybe we can move on to the next, but they can respond, because I was taking note when she was presenting, and in a presentation she talked about that. But I wanted her to specifically answer you on a prayer. She should clarify on a prayer.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Our prayer to this August House is the issue of harmonization of the laws, like you are saying. We are seeing the Mines and Minerals Act having a lot of powers over the agricultural laws, and this has weakened the productivity on the part of the communities in Gweru. And again, we are also praying that whenever laws are being made, we especially laws regarding land, let us not have a lot of institutions coming up with different laws governing the same thing. We are talking about land. We have got a Ministry of Mines. They are giving their own beneficiaries permits. We have got Ministry of Lands. They are resettling people, giving people land. And on the same land, this is the same land. And some years later, we see the beneficiaries of the land being disrupted from doing their agricultural work. So our plea is that we need to come up with harmonized pieces of legislation that are speaking together, and also to say that when one of these ministries are allocating land, they should sit down together and then they share their notes with regards if this area is occupied or not. And if it is occupied, I think there is need to do because we have, because kana paine vanhu vagara varipo zvinenge zvisingazoiti kuti moti vanhu vakungonzi pakuuya munhu suddenly ari kuuya achiti I've been given this piece of land by this ministry, and all these are government ministries. Ari kutaura zvinhu zviri separate. Vamwe vari kuti rimai, vamwe vari kuti endai munomaina. And this is disrupting activities on the ground.
Thank you. Madam Chidavarume, ndatikubvunza kuti vakadzi vane minda vanobvumirwawo here kuchera muminda yavo nyangwe iri pasi pe100. Here's a situation where imi samai mune munda wenyu muri munhu, munesu vana venyu taziva kuti paka 5 hectare plot kedu katakapuwa neMinistry of Agriculture kaita mari. Vana venyu vakachera makomba kuseri kwebhedhumu ravo, wamungatondeka muchipa mhosva ndiani? Ministry here kana kuti yeMines kana kuti Agriculture? Isu taingofungidzira kuti dai manga matitaurira munomu kuti mapurisa tiri kumhan'ara havasi kuita basa ravo, kochideedzwa minista wemapurisa nokuti all laws are so straightforward. All laws are saying we protect everyone, irrespective of being many, mayuthi, vana mai. Mutemo wenyika uri kuprotecta munhu wese, but kana imi samai mukachera gomba pamba penyu moti mumunda mangu hapana ari kurambidza, vana venyu isu vakomana tiri kucherazve muminda yenyu, tobva hatifushiri makomba as required by the ministry. Now mauya uno toda kubatsirai, daidzai PMD wekuchirukwe wouya namainjiniya ake vosi kuona zvakaikwa. It's your right. Wokuchikutaurirai kuti ndiani wakachera muti ndidhuve, dhuve woenda unosungwa namapurisa onzi ngadi ngaafushire, kana kuti very clearly the Mines and Minerals Act says on abandonment of any mining location unofanira kufenza kuti mai vaya varegererwe kubva pamuviri nenyaya yestress. Handiti ndizvo? Tsvagai ruzivo kurelevant ministry iri kukukanganisirai. Iko ino mukaona muno tatora vakati paminda vari muno veMinistry of Agriculture. Ministry inofanira kunge ichikupai answers enyu ese iMinistry of Agriculture of Mines and Minerals Development. Havamo muno. Degradation yamataura inoda environment. Havamo muno. Ino ngaichingova discussion meeting yatinodiscussa tichirairana ende hameno kuti makanga here kana kuti mapisa muto makatomboenda kwamuri kutaura nepetition nachairman vecommittee. Ndo zvamaitaka kuti chairman makamboona makomba aya ari kuseri kwimba yangu, makaavona maona onai tiri kutoita rerun, but iri right futi ngatingodzidzisana ndateka.
Yeah.
One of the members is out of order.
Yes.
Yes, Honorable Chair. Right. I think let's concentrate on their prayer because they've got 3 issues here from the petition. I'm trying to read the petition right now. because they are pushing for the finalization of the 2 acts, that is the Land Act and the Mines and Mineral Acts. So which party do you want to push? Is it the new Mines and Mineral Act or what?
Thank you, Honorable. We are pushing for the new act because we feel that the new act, the farmers, that we are feeling that the old act is giving too much power to the miner at the expense of the farmer. So we want an act that is respecting both the farmer and the miner. An act which is also recognizing the developments that have been put on the land by the farmer. An act that that compels the miner from contaminating the only source of water that the farmer is using. So we are saying and hoping that if we are crafting a new mining and minerals act, because we are in the agricultural economy, we feel that whenever we are coming up with laws, they will be then respecting agriculture.
How about the Land Act?
In the Land Act, we also feel that the Land Act, currently the land policy is under the process of being reviewed and reformulated. So under that, we are appealing that the Ministry of Agriculture should, as much as possible, come on the ground and see what is happening, like what is happening in the Shirug area that we visited with both the Committee on Agriculture and lands. They also visited the area that I'm speaking of, and even the Mines and Minerals Committee, they also visited the area. And also in response to Honorable Matindila's the comments, we are very aware of what is in these acts, but there is lack of implementation. The women that I have here, they have been going to seek to ask the police to come and assist them, but nothing is happening. They continue to face the same challenges. The police may come and chase, or they come and just what is happening, but nothing is happening. They continue to face the same challenges.
Then on the second issue, the issue of EMA not fulfilling its mandate, which areas or which examples can you give to the committee so that maybe we can just squeeze the EMA if, why are they not doing that?
Yeah, for the gardens that I initially spoke about, we have a garden in Shingai Matimba, which draws its water from they get water from Matimba River. So what is happening? The mining activities that is happening uphill, they are contaminating water. The farmers vanotoona kuti mvura yasviba wotorega kuibata. Kudhara vaiti kana iya ine madhaka voishandisa and their crops will wilt. But iko zvinezvi vanototarisa kuona kuti kutaimira kuona kuti haina kusvibiswa here vaone kuishandisa uphill. Kune maybe may the Honorable House allow me to give the farmers an opportunity to speak to you, to the challenges that they are facing, because I am narrating what I've been told, but there are people who have lived the challenges. May they be allowed to speak?
Yeah, but we still have questions for you, and you purport to have a mandate to represent them. So we must hear you first. For instance, I still have questions for you and your advocacy officer, because a lot of what you are raising here are advocacy issues, and I want to know why in the line of advocacy you have not taken on litigation, because this parliament has done what it can. in terms of putting laws in place. And if those laws are not adhered to, you must then approach the courts for relief. And when the Ministry of Agriculture comes in, the legal officer specifically, I want him to ponder on the question, are there laws that carry more force than others? For instance, you are implying that minors seem to have more power over those who are practicing agriculture, which I don't think is true. This parliament, in its wisdom, has put in laws to protect all citizens, whether one is in agriculture or in mining.
Yeah,
honorable members, I think we need to hear officials from the Ministry of Agriculture in the interest of time. Then maybe we can come back to the petitioner. But let me remind honorable members that we are here to listen to what the petitioner, what our witnesses have to say, and perhaps in terms of sharing most of our knowledge with them, we should reserve it for our deliberation, and we'll come up with recommendations. So that we keep them comfortable.
Yeah.
So with your indulgence, I may move on to Mr. Zinoreva to maybe respond in brief, because this exercise, this meeting is going to equip him, because we will require the ministry at a later stage, maybe at the end, towards the end of our inquiry. Of course, they can work with us when we go to the ground, but towards the end, we'll call in the ministry officials again, and this information is equipping them. But for now, we may respond in brief.
Honorable Chair.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, before we give the floor to the Ministry of Agriculture officials, I still wish to respect what the national coordinator has asked, that we get evidence from at least one of the farmers who were affected, so that, but I'm not sure at which stage are we going to hear that first-hand presentation from the affected people.
We'll give them a chance after Mr. Zinoreva. And maybe, honorable members, let me remind you that what the coordinator is saying is very true, because we had a trip to Shurugwi, the Minister of Mines and Mining Development, as well as the Minister of Land Portfolio Committee members, had a chance, first-hand experience, to witness where goat farming is in full swing, to witness a garden and how that garden is being affected by these activities. So I take it these witnesses here present are actually going to touch on some things that we've already witnessed. So for progress sake and in the interest of time, let us give the Mr. Zinoreva from the Ministry of Agriculture a chance. Then if we still have time, we can then come back and give them an opportunity and ask more questions.
Copied.
Mr. Zinoreva, you may respond or give your intervention.
Thank you, Honorable Chair, honorable members who are here. I have listened to the elaboration by the petitioners And I must acknowledge that this is a matter that when the Office of the President Cabinet coordinated ministries to submit written proposals on how the amendment to the Mines and Minerals Act would proceed, what input we had as Minister of Lands at that time. I think it was in recognition of the fact that the Minister of the Mines and Minerals Act, the certain prescriptions that are there. And if I'm not a lawyer, the Act seems to give precedence to mining rather than agriculture land. So mining is given preference. And as Minister of Lands at that time, we were very clear to say we allocate land to beneficiaries for agriculture. And we wanted to promote that activity. And we were requesting that when the amendment is done to the Mines and Minerals Act, the issues that we bring to the fore must be taken into account. It was our view that we need to address this challenge that apparently occurs in almost all provinces. That is the conflict between mining and agriculture. And we made submissions to the effect that if a farmer is on his land or on her land and he gets to know that there's gold there, the first right of refusal to mine is given to the farmer because he has real rights over that piece of land. We were also then of the view that if the Minister of Mines then proceeds to issue permits legally, there must be consultation between the miner, the person who goes to mine, and the farmer. I don't see a farmer with 100 hectares. You wouldn't be happy to see someone coming up with a minerals detector, you know, those machines, and you don't know about it. You wouldn't be happy to see someone on your plot without you being informed about it. And then we were told that no, in fact, there are prescriptions to say if a farmer is below 100 hectares of land, that consultation is done. But if an area above that, the prospector can proceed to prospect. And surely our view is that we need to look at rationalizing this. Even if I have 500 hectares, wouldn't be good for the prospector to come, I have my offer letter, so that I know what happens on the piece of land. So we actually gave those submissions. Then we went even further to say where the miner now starts operation, the farmer knows the area that is going to be occupied by mining. The farmer must, at the end of it all, declare that he's working on. Don't leave walls and pits there, otherwise the farmer's cattle will then go in and don't make you there. We know the hazards to make you. Those were our submissions. Let reclamation be done properly so that the farmer at the end of the mining activity can continue to use the land. We also then protected the farmer to say, where it's illegally done by mines and permits are issued area to be mined, and the farmer knows 50 hectares or it's 20 hectares that is going to be mined, the farmer is relieved from paying rentals for land for that portion, because it doesn't really make sense to say the farmer has 200 hectares, but 50 hectares is going to mining and continue to want the farmer to pay rental for the 200 hectares. So we actually made our submissions, Honorable Chair. But I think the main issue that is there is to do with the looking at the Mines and Minerals Act, where how far we have gone with the amendments. Now we are also looking at saying how far can we go in terms of getting the prescriptions of the Mines and Minerals Act being implemented. I think Honorable Matangira has touched it to say the conflicts might still okay, but how do we ensure that the implementation is done on the ground to ensure that the miner confines himself to what has been agreed, is mining there, and the farmer is also confined to it for agricultural activity. I think it's to do with the monitoring. We have had challenges, Honorable Chair, with regards to legalized mining operations. In this case, I'm saying they are permitted by the Ministry of Mines in terms of the act. The area is pegged, the maps are there. But the more challenges, I think, Honorable Chair, come from illegal mining activities. These are even worse, where you are a farmer and then there are illegal gold partners or illegal gold miners there. It even adds to the problem and challenges. How do you then get into the farm, monitor and ensure that implementation is regulated? Who should be doing that? They have raised issues of pollution, issues of environmental degradation. I think the various arms of government will then come into support in terms of the Mines and Minerals Act, but also in terms of the land policy that we have. I want to inform the House that we were waiting to hear how far the amendment, the Mines and Minerals Act has gone, but also that we can incorporate those views that are coming from that act into the new land policy. And in that regard, we have come up with a very defined, clearly defined process of coming up with a new land policy. Where participated in the launch when we started to say, now on the new land policy, we invited everybody. That currently we have 11 consultants that have been appointed after we have funding for the power. They are busy working on their areas of the national land policy. So there's an area that is looking at gender and social development, and the consultant is fully engaged to consult the petitioners and say, what are your issues? What do you want to add, either in terms of land allocation or in terms of your operation on the ground? And I don't know whether that consultant is outreached the petitioners, but I think they have. As I'm talking, the situational reports for each team have been produced. So there's a situational report on environment, looking at the issues that we're talking. There's a situational report on gender and social development. And the consultants are actually linking up with all stakeholders so that they can also then cascade down to provinces where consultations will continue before we can come up with key policy statements for each area. What do we want the land policy to say on each land policy issue? So it's a process that is ongoing. I wanted to say, Honorable Chair, the time frame is that by December we should have a new land policy. That's what the media has pronounced, and we are working towards that. But accept that because of the COVID situation, consultations are now becoming very difficult. You can see what we are doing here. But how do you then get everybody, even if you go to province? But we are working on it to say a policy can only be as good as how far you go in terms of consultation, and so that the people can say we own it. That is so these are the issues, Honorable Chair. The policy position will come allocation. Yes, we are talking about access to land, but I can tell you it's a challenge because when we look at our statistics, we have allocated land to women who are married. So my wife has access to land already, but we still talk of access to land by women. But we are also saying women can apply for land in their own right. And we have statistics now which we are disaggregating to say those are allocated in their own right, how many, what percentage. But those that have also got land through husbands, or those that have got land because the husband can also get land through the wife, by the way. So these are issues that we are looking at so that we can fine-tune to ensure that more women get access to land. I want to say at the time, the current situation, we have allocated most of the land. So it might be difficult for women to say, oh, we want land right now. because almost all land has been allocated. But as you know, Honorable Chair, the Zimbabwe Land Commission is carrying out an audit, and the first phase where they covered one district per province came out, and they've discovered that yes, there are certain pieces of land that were abandoned that can now be reallocated. There's land that is lying underutilized. We now want provincial land committees and district land committees, when they reallocate that land, to ensure that they cover certain groups. It's prescribed, as you know. Women should also be considered in their own right or within the allocation that goes to their husbands. So this is the current situation, but let me summarize by saying the issue of land, agriculture versus mining, I think it is to do with the Mines and Minerals Act in particular. How can we fine tune it to ensure that this conflict is reduced? How can we also have some implementation matrix where even at province, if you go to Gweru, we know that the Gweru province has a team called Provincial Committee chaired by the Ministers of State. Can't they actually fine tune and say, where are the challenges? Is it Shirugwe? Let's now focus on each farm. What is the current situation? Mines, if you allocated the miners there, Vanama permits, on what land do we have the maps? So what are the challenges? So that we can say, is it the miner who is now preaching, or is it the farmer? But I think my own assessment is that it's the other way around, where the miners are actually going, digging and no reclamation, the farmer is crying, that kind of thing. So let me stop there so that if there are issues for clarity, I can clarify. I just summarize the situation as I know it. Thank you, Chair.
Point of clarity, Honorable Chair.
Go ahead, Honorable Joe.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Mr. Zinorewa mentioned that the right of first refusal for the farmer, is it supported by the laws of the land?
Honorable Chair, I said these were our submissions at the time when the Office of the President was coordinating input into the amendment of the Mines and Minerals Act. I'm not too sure. That's why I was saying I don't know how far this amendment process has gone. But we as ministry were saying, why don't we accept such a situation so that the farmer has first right of refusal? I don't know whether Minister of Mines is taking it on board, and as they hear, they are not here. So it becomes also, difficult in actually getting to know.
So as the Minister of Lands, you can't do anything.
We have already done so, Honorable Chair, by submitting that as Minister of Lands, here are our submissions. We pray that this be considered.
How about from the new land policy?
You see, from the new land policy, what we have done, as I have said, is we have all ministries that have something to do with activity on agricultural land. So if you go to mines right now, there's a focal person of chief director or director level who participates in the steering committee to look at the land policy review. And we have said, now look at these are our submissions. Work within your ministry with your principals so that when you amend your act, you can also then bring what you have done to us so that we fine tune so that the land policy rhymes to the Mines and Minerals Act. This is exactly the structure. Every ministry, if you go to environment, we've already sent them the situational reports. This is what our consultant has found out in the preparation of getting a new land policy. We have sent the situational report to mines. We have sent the situational policy to ministry dealing with women's affairs. So all the ministries have got this situational so that they can then input. So I expect that mines, when they come to our steering committee, they will then brief us to say, when we amend the Mines and Minerals Act, these are the issues that have been admitted, so that the land policy formulation process is then informed.
Honorable Chair.
Go ahead, Honorable Ndele.
This is a question for legal counsel at Ministry of Agriculture. In your situational report to the Ministry of Mines that the director refers to, which mining laws specifically did you cite as putting the farmer at a disadvantage? I just want us to zero in on to offending provisions, as it were.
Thank you very much, Honorable Ndebele, for that question. And maybe as the legal counsel takes that question, the petitioners are saying, yes, we've got laws according to the Mines and Minerals Act or mining laws. We've got agricultural laws. We've got laws to do with environment governing the same land. But this land is, in some cases, in the hands of a woman. And she has got all the papers pertaining to the ownership of that land. But at a later stage, there comes someone who has got all the papers pertaining to the same land, but everything to do with mining, extracting minerals from the same land. Of course, on the same land, there are laws that talk about distances in terms of carrying out activities from existing infrastructure and so forth. But this the coming in of an authorized someone, a miner with a permit to mine on a land that is already in the hands of another person, a woman, in this case, is actually for sure going to disrupt the agricultural activities. And which law takes precedence? The fact that the miner is coming later and is allowed to do what they are doing, it means the mining laws takes precedence. This is where the petitioners are saying the woman is not protected. Then the issue to do with dongas, pollution, and so forth, they are all part of that package now, affecting the same woman, even if distances are observed. But in terms of pollution, be it water pollution, air pollution, they are going to be affected. So the petitioners are saying all these laws, different as they may be talking to different sectors, but they are under one constitution of Zimbabwe. And they feel there is no harmonization. We want to hear your take, legal counsel, from the ministry as you answer Honorable this question.
Sorry, can I also just add just a little bit, Honorable Chair?
Go ahead, Honorable Topher.
Yeah. Just to add to what you said, Honorable Chair, to the extent in some instances where the mining has actually taken place right in the areas where maybe where their houses are, and the owners of the places of the houses are then displaced. That's all I just want to add, which are women.
I had a supplementary, Honorable Chair. The director mentioned that actually they suggested, and can I go ahead?
Go ahead.
Thank you. I had a supplementary actually to what the director had said, that they had recommended to the new Mines and Minerals Act that farming must take precedence or priority over mining. Yes, but we are talking about today. Honorable Chair, we have got people who pegged mines in the past. Are they going to be reviewed? as the director said, maybe actually we will be saying the law has to take charge where a criminal act has been performed or done. Let's cause the Home Affairs to do their job, arrest those people and partners who come into my land of wheat to dig for gold. They must be arrested. No sacred cows. That's all we would want, actually, maybe the Minister of Agriculture to say, we are a people that are workaholic, but you can't go to work when you haven't eaten no food. So let's respect agricultural land, and the police must do likewise. I think.
Thank you very much. I think let's allow the minister officials to respond. And this is at a point from what Honorable Matankara has said. This is the point at which the petitioners are saying there is lack of enforcement. They are saying they are not, the women are not protected because no one is being arrested. And the Minister of Agriculture, are the provisions of your policies allowing enough room for law enforcement agents and your ministry to actually call for the protection of women? Because we have these disputes, we have these violations, and they are happening on the land that you have allocated these deserving women. But without your intervention, without your protection, I'm just repeating what the petitioner has brought to this committee.
Honorable Chair, thank you very much. What I can only say at this juncture is that if it is indeed as it is, the Minister of Mines that issues permits, I take it that those permits are issued on a defined area. I take it too that those permits have conditions that the miner should follow. Now, in the event that there are problems there of conflict, I would take it that it's the Minister of Mines that should be in the forefront in terms of going to the area and saying, you are mining, are you following the conditions that are laid down in the permit? It becomes very difficult for Minister of Lands, although we want to support the farmer, to then go and start dealing with this, because I can tell you, I don't have the maps of the area that is covered by the permit. I don't know the conditions that are there in terms of pollution, use of mercury and so forth. It's the Ministry of Mines that should actually take the lead. That's why I was saying an implementation matrix can be worked out at provincial level, so that all the parties are there together, mines are there represented. There's a conflict in Shurug, where, on which farms, and the Minister of Mines should be able to say the following are registered permit holders in that area. What are the challenges the farmers are facing, so that they can then take the lead to go. It's a question of implementation. That's the way I see it. So that we put everybody in his rightful or a rightful place in terms of operating on that piece of land.
Supplementary, Honorable Chair.
You can go ahead in brief. We want to round off now.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. As Minister of Mines, are you not one of the stakeholders who are supposed to be consulted by the miner when he's doing the EIA, or when he or she's doing the EIA?
Mr. Zinoreva, you may respond.
I didn't hear the question, Honorable Chair. Can I request that there's a repeat?
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Let me repeat my question. Right, when the miner is doing mining activities, he's supposed to do the EIA, and my question goes to, like, if you are doing the if the miner is doing the consultations, is he not supposed to consult Minister of Lands for him or for her to get the EIA?
Honorable Chair, very good observation, but I must say it would be best answered by Ministry of Mines. They have their processes and procedures of how any environmental impact assessment, that's what we are talking about, is done. But yes, you are right. We wouldn't mind being consulted at all, so that we can then put in our input. But the farmer should be in the forefront, right? They want an EIA for a piece of land in Mashonal and Central. Really would want a process where the farmer is consulted, but also Ministry of Lands at district level, because we don't want to overburden people by coming to Harare. That's why I was saying an implementation matrix is better at provincial level, cascading down to district. Yes, we should then be consulted to say, miner X wants to go and farm at Mr. Dinorewa's farm. How many hectares does Mr. Dinorewa have? 110. Yes, he must be consulted. How many hectares? He has 500 hectares. We still insist, Honorable Chair, that surely I still have to be consulted as farmer. Then the EIA can be done. And the Minister of Mines should take the lead in these consultations.
So I was saying, is it less?
Sorry, Director. What Honorable Joe is saying is, yes, Ministry of Mines is responsible, but when the impact on environment EIA is carried out, where do we draw the line? The Ministry of Lands, the Ministry of Agriculture must be in the loop. They must be able to access those reports and also endorse their comments. Also accept, because it's not only the EIA, it's also the social impact assessment. And the social impact assessment actually affects the woman we are talking about today. And the woman is on the land following a permit that he was given, or following access that the woman got from the Ministry of Agriculture. So really it might be the prerogative of the Ministry of Mines, but the Ministry of Agriculture should actually be in the loop. This is where the harmonization, when we talk about laws, not implementation, this is perhaps where the petitioners are saying there is a gap, there is need for harmonization.
Yes, I agree with you, Honorable Chair. We really have to be, what I'm only trying to say is, I don't know myself in the Ministry of Lands and Agriculture, the prescriptions of the EIA. It's a requirement, I believe, of the Mines and Minerals Act, which is administered by mines. But yes, we should take a part as Ministry of Lands and Agriculture in that, so that we can support the whole process. I totally agree with you. But then I think Ministry of Mines must then take the lead, because they know the prescriptions of the EIA. I don't know. We don't know. I think they hold the key to, the requirements that a miner, before he goes onto the ground, the EIA must be done, and these are the areas that must be covered. And then we can come in. Apparently, we need a joint effort with mines and ourselves so that we protect the farmer. So I agree with you. I agree with that observation.
On a point of order.
Chairman.
Just to...
Is that a follow-up, Honorable Joe?
Yes, Honorable Chair.
Okay, all right, Honorable Joe.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. The problem is, I think it's not Ministry of Mines who is in charge of EIA. It's Ministry of Environment. So what you need to do as Ministry of Lands is just to work in hand with Ministry of Environment to say, if you are doing EIAs in the area of whereby we are, like every land is under state land when we are talking of resettlement. So they need to consult you as Minister of Lands. So I think you need to just write a memo to the Minister of Environment to say, if you are doing the EIAs in the resettlement area or communal, engage us first as Minister of Lands. I think we'll be harmonizing everything. as the was serving the one government.
Honorable Chipinya, you may come in.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I think direct us, Honorable Chair. The petitioners are women who are small-scale landholders of less than 10 hectares. And the EIA principle does not apply to this type of petitioners. The EIA principle applies to land above 25 hectares. In your summation before, Honorable Chair, you said here is a woman with 6 hectares, and here is a man with a 10 hectare license, superimposing himself on the 6 hectare plot of this woman. The EIA principle does not apply. The law is currently accepting a dual regularization. And this is what is in the principle of the amendments. Let's direct our petitioners correctly. I will simply want to then wind up by saying, we had a process as Parliament after the rejection of the Mines and Minerals Amendment Bill, where we went out into communities, Shuruk included, where we met at that wall in Shuruk on a very cold afternoon. Did the organization under which the petitioners are being represented take advantage of that process? If they did not take advantage of that process, then direct them accordingly for them to dovetail into the process which we are doing. Otherwise, we are moving on and on over a simple matter where implementation is what is lacking and not necessarily the policy at hand.
Precisely.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chipinya. The Women Coalition of Zimbabwe are standing in for women, and I thought they were doing that in general. I didn't consider the fact that they might be standing for just for small scale. I hadn't looked at the size of the land. But I was looking at it from a point of view of farmer-minor disputes. But however, we can give a chance to the coordinator to clarify that point. But your comments are noted, Honorable Varume, you may go ahead.
I had a question for legal counsel, Pamwe Makangano.
Yeah.
What are you doing as Minister of Agriculture? All dams and rivers are being silted. The woman farmer, is complaining about environment degradation by the miner. You are now now. Yes,
I give the floor to Ms. Varume.
We are talking about hunger in Zimbabwe. How are we going to be irrigating when all rivers, dams, wells are silted? That's what we should be talking here. How are you going to do it? Tell us.
Well, it's an issue that we are looking at, Honorable Chair. First and foremost, to ensure that land allottees abide by government regulations or acts that are in place. Now, if you are an A2 farmer and you have an offer letter, read the acceptance of the offer letter. There are conditions there. If you then get a 99-year lease, it's even better and more clearer, because there are conditions there to say, thou shalt do this, thou shalt abide by this, and so forth. Now, the issue now you are asking, Honorable Matangira, is how are we going to ensure? It's a process that requires all the ministries that are involved to take part. That's why I was saying, at the provincial level, government created these structures where the teams must then go to Mr. Zinorewa's farm and say, you have a 99-year lease. Yes, what does it say? it says, thou shalt do contours, thou shalt not do ABC. Are you following that? It's implementation. That's why we as ministry are saying we need to capacitate our structures, particularly the district land office, the provincial land office. That's why we're saying let's collect land rentals to capacitate, so that, you know, previously land officers would visit a farm, 2 times a year. Reports being compiled, Zimbabwe has done good contours, environmental situations properly done. The reports are filed, but they had capacity to do that. Now we are slowly building that capacity, but we need revenue. That's why we had said all farmers must pay their rentals. Is that the truth of the matter currently? We want to encourage that to come so that we capacitate. I'm sure you're aware that we also now have extension officers who are capacitated. You have seen it, honorable members. They are having motorbikes. Going out, they take that responsibility.
Honorable Chair, there were some issues that were raised regarding the Act itself, in terms of the Mines and Minerals Act, in terms of the provisions it has regarding the issue of prospecting. So by and large, before I respond to that, I would like to also add on to what Director Znoriwa was saying, that one of the major problems is that even when it comes to the issuance of the licenses, the Ministry of Lands itself is not part of the consultative process. Some of these things you only come to realize that there's a license that has been issued with respect to a particular piece of land when already there's a problem that has arisen. This in itself needs to be addressed so that there's proper coordination. It's difficult to have a situation where you are administering land, you are the allocating authority, and then when it comes to full utilization of that land, you're not aware that some of that land has already been alienated from that specific agricultural purpose, and it's now being utilized for mining purposes. So that coordination is essential, and I think the data has also highlighted that it can be done through the provincial structures where there's that coordination. So when it comes to the Act itself, Section 31, which is in Part 5 of the Act, clearly spells out where prospecting can be done and cannot be done. However, what happens is that even though the provisions are clearly laid out in terms of that section, when it comes to issues of enforcement, the general perception is that mining rights take precedence over everything else. And the provisions in the Act clearly state that, for example, in Section 31, there's a section where if you are denied access for prospecting purposes, the Minister of Mines can actually order that you be allowed to enter into the piece of land for purpose of prospecting. That alone creates that impression that mining rights take precedence over all else, because there are provisions that override any denials that are deemed to be unreasonable. And there are also those provisions to do with the threshold of 100 hectares, where anything above 100 hectares, you don't need authority, you only need to give notice to say, I am coming in for prospecting purposes. So there is need for a greater level of consultation when it comes to those processes. These when it comes to formal processes, on issues to do with the illegal mining activities, now that's a whole different issue altogether, where the Ministry of Lands in particular is very powerless when it comes to that. Those are issues now of law enforcement coming in and making sure that those are attended to and those perpetrators are brought to book. Thank you.
So perceptions and the intention of Parliament are two different things, Council, am I right?
Honorable members, we are running out of time. Our license expires at 12:30. Can we conclude?
Honorable Chair, indeed the perceptions are different from the intentions of Parliament. However, it's difficult at this stage to hazard what exactly the intentions of the legislature at the time of crafting of the Mines and Minerals Act were. Thank you.
Thank you very much. This is the beginning of our inquiry into the petition, and I hope this session has been insightful to all of us, the two committees, Mines and Mining Development and the Committee on Agriculture, as well as to the ministry officials and the petitioners themselves, so that as we progress, we direct our inquiry accordingly to realize and optimize the outcome. I thank you all for coming, and if I may ask the ministry officials to exit so that we can have one word with the committee and the petitioner. Thank you. Members of the fourth state may also leave. Committee clerk, quickly confirm when they've left. Give me a signal so that we can use the 1 minute left. Do we have extra time, even 5 minutes? Committee clerk, Petronella?
No, you can go ahead. I think you can wind up.
Okay. Honorable Joe, regarding logistics, I think you had a question for the petitioners. You may go ahead.
Thank you, Honorable. I think we need to have more consultations, like they mentioned, kutiko kune areas ariwi atofana kunge tichiona kuti zvakamira sei, which they mentioned on the petition. So I want to know from the petitioners which areas are they like interested for the committee to go and see, as the two committees to just go and see, then we make some recommendations and present our report.
Thank you very much. Before they respond, Petronella, can you confirm with Honorable Sure in the building?
Yes, he's in.
Yes.
Honorable Sure, with indulgence of all the other members, I'm asking you to take the chair if our time expires. I may be out automatically. I won't be able to conclude. So I would ask you to kindly conclude, but make sure the logistics, the question on logistics is adequately addressed before you conclude the meeting. Thank you. The petitioners, you may respond.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I think as the organization, we want to do a second round to Matimba area and also visit the Gweru. Why a second round to Matimba is, it is because the situation is now worse. There are more miners that are coming in, and I feel that if we also go and look at what is also happening in Gweru, Romak area, then the committee will maybe will come up with concrete ideas or concrete facts in terms of what is actually happening. And maybe if you recall, Honorable Chair, we visited the road that was being damaged, and I'm sure you heard what finally happened to that road. Ministry of Transport had to go and repair that road because of the illegal mining activities that are taking place.
That's Boterekwa, yes.
Yeah.
Right, Chairman. We want to know, are they taking the war committee on board or not? Are the war two committees on board?
We will then go and visit our budgets, and we'll come back to Parliament in terms of if we can manage to take the whole committee, all the members of the two committees.
It's a joint inquiry, so all I may say is we are kindly asking you to make sure you don't leave anyone out. Anyone who is able to travel at that moment in time, so that we have a thorough and conclusive exercise. So I'm appealing to you to do the needful, to do what it takes to accommodate all of us.
Okay, Honorable. Thank you.
Honorable members, is there anything you may want clarified before we close?
I think it's clear now, Chairman. I think they need to tell us so that we come up with the itinerary. I think the issue which was left is to come up with the itinerary whereby we know when are we going to travel. So she said she's going to revert back to Parliament.
Okay, she can liaise with the committee clerks, Mr. Weston Marume and Petronella, and they will advise us accordingly on the group WhatsApp platforms. Ms. Chidawaenzi, feel free to interact with our committee clerks.
Thank you, Chair. Noted.
So we go
Chairman.
on to, yes, Honorable.
No, it's okay, but I meant to ask you to kindly allow Mrs. Chidawarume just in half a minute to restate their prayer to this committee in just half a minute.
It's fine, granted. Go ahead, Ms. Chidawarume.
Our prayer is for harmonization of the laws that are governing land in Zimbabwe. Our prayers are to the Ministry of Lands to protect their clients which are facing challenges emanating from mining activities. Another prayer is for the Ministry of Lands, Ministry of Mines to monitor the activities of their clients because they are leaving the land and after using the land, they are not filling up the ports, the pits, they are not reclaiming the land, so they should continue to monitor. And we are also praying that EMA should be capacitated to enforce to enforce their mandate, to ensure that whenever illegal activities are happening in terms of pollution, they will be monitoring and taking the culprits and making them pay. And also, if they should pay be increased so that it scares them from committing the same crime. and also the Ministry of Home Affairs, maybe. This is a new prayer to ensure that the law enforcement agents are doing their work. When women report, they get the assistance they want. Thank you.
Honorable Chair.
Go ahead, Honorable Show.
Thank you, Chairman. Ndotenda Madam Chidawarume, but kuona kwangu, yes, we say commit, we can exhaust the petition through Kumbo Visitor, but I also want Miss Chidawarume kuti maybe if she can organize a one-day workshop here in Harare, whereby we call all the ministries, some of the issues can be resolved by workshop here.
Ms. Chidawarume, you may respond whether that is doable or you have other ideas.
I think we can as well do that. It's a noble idea, because we have also noted that some of the issues are not police or with regards to laws, but implementation is lacking. So if we may have a workshop here in Harare, maybe in calling all these ministries to come and then listen and answer and try to come up with solutions.
Thank you very much. And perhaps maybe let me say to you, we have an outreach program. This is separate, but it touches on environmental degradation. And this outreach program will take us to various centers throughout the country. For example, Mazoe, Wange, Shurugwe may be involved. These are mining areas where land degradation, water pollution, and other environmental challenges are obtaining at the moment. So we are hoping we can take you on board, but we can engage you separately just for you to consider as well. It's on our calendar, and it's something that we intend to tackle in the near future, this year.
Thank you.
Chairman.
Okay, Honorable.
Honorable Chair. Thank you, Honorable Chair. Just to Kungwazi, maybe we are running out of time. We are supposed to exhaust this petition before the expiring of the session. So I don't know business rengera sara kune the other session arizo gunukuzoinda kune the next session. So wanted to present the report before the expiring of the session.
You may respond, Ms. Chidawarume.
May you guide me, Honorable Chair. Oh, okay, thank you. Honorable Chair, what we are going to do is to go and then seek for funding to carry out the plan, like visiting and the workshop. So we'll come back to you through the clerks of parliament.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. You may be excused.
Thank you.
You can give me a signal. Committee clerk.
Yeah, they've gone out.
Okay. Honorable members, there you are. Any resolutions coming from today's oral evidence meeting?
Yes, Chair.
Honorable Chiquinya.
Chair, perhaps guide us. The principles of the petition, in particular the prayer, is exactly what guided the president in his rejection of the previously presented bill. What are we going to outreach for when we have actually been guided on how to settle the minor farmer dispute?
It's procedural.
It's what?
In terms of discharging a petition.
Oh, but we know the results.
You may school me, but I'm just following procedures here, honorable members.
Yeah, but it's procedure.
Anyway.
Sorry, Chair. Let me alert myself. It's a procedure which is following on an already business of Parliament, which is currently carrying out. So I'm not sure, despite the extra funding which you may get from that organization, but there is still Parliament funding which is going to be involved in time of Parliament, of the committee is going to be involved, because we know the outcome. We know that we need to influence the Mines and Minerals Bill in as far as settling the minor farmer dispute is concerned.
Exactly.
I need your wisdom, honorable member, because this petition has been deemed admissible by our superiors. The head of Parliament appended their signature, and by way of procedure, what else can we do as a committee?
Chair, therefore, my proposal is that we have heard the concerns, but then as a resolution, I propose that we take on board their concerns, and as they augment to the already existing business of the committee in as far as settling the minor farmer dispute in the Mines and Minerals Bill.
They are acting on behalf of communities.
Chairman.
They are acting on behalf of a
but there is no, but the law is
the society. So as Parliament, I think we also owe it to them. If a petition is deemed admissible, we also need to carry out an inquiry, oral evidence hearing, and be able to interact with the people they represent and come up with recommendations. And what you are saying right now can be part of our recommendations, and it will be communicated to all concerned.
It's okay. It's okay.
Chairman.
Honorable
Chairman.
Honorable
Chairman.
Yes,
what Honorable Chiquinya is merely
I've lost you, Honorable Ndebele. Are you there? Honorable Ndebele, I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now, yes.
Hello?
Yes, you can recheck.
What Honorable Chiquinya is pointing out, Chair, with all due respect, is the person who admitted that petition admitted it too late in time, because Parliament is already going through the motions of addressing the matters that the petition raises. We can still go and see whatever is out there just to fulfill the motions, but it's already done, because remember, we've consulted the same community. I went to the farmers' hall in Shurugwi. These are the issues that were raised, and for good measure, these are the issues that His Excellency raised when he brought back to us the amendment bill. So it has been admitted a year late, and it has been overtaken by events. That's what Honorable Chiquinya is pointing out.
Okay, let's hear from other honorable members so that we have a way forward. What we want now is a way forward. Remember, our time is up in terms of connectivity and license. Honorable members, any comment? Are we all still in? Hello?
Yes, we are here, Chairman. I'm sure the others are happy with what's happening.
So what shall we conclude, honorable members? We are proceeding with the inquiry just to fulfill. You are laughing at me, honorable member.
I might as well sign the allowance and remain in Harare because I know the outcome of
Honorable
What are we saying? I want us to conclude. Honorable Joe.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I think we inquiry petition because one thing to note, taka delay at super petition yawana. I think taka delay we were supposed to exhaust this petition long time ago.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
I second the Honorable Chairman.
At SlyMedia Productions, we offer live streaming services to companies willing to reach a worldwide audience. We have the capacity to live stream debates from various locations for a wide range of clients.
And our online audience, we welcome you back.
We follow them and help build Zimbabwe brand on a positive note.
On the second report on citizens' perceptions.
And for us, our interest has always been around how do we leverage technology to communicate policy, to communicate public issues.
When you think of reaching the ever-growing internet audience with your video adverts, think SlyMedia TV Online. If you want to pre-package TV programs, documentaries, weddings and church services, think SlyMedia Productions, building bridges. Your TV on the go, anytime, anywhere, worldwide.